Hi everybody, welcome to this already third rarity report, and this one is pretty stacked because May is the month for rare birds in spring in the Netherlands, and two birds would be new for my Dutch list. They call it Pratincole and a Egyptian Vulture, but both weren't twitchable sadly. And before I get started, I wanted to point out a couple of things. And firstly, Wim Gans again made a terrific overview of the rare and scarce birds in the Netherlands in April. It is on the Dutch birding website, so if you haven't checked that out already, I highly suggest you do so. I must add though that it is written in Dutch. In addition to a lot of rarities, May is also the month for big days in the Netherlands. And there's one that I would like to point out especially, and that is the Texel Big Day, an annual returning big day for charity. And each year money is raised for a particular bird or birds that are endangered in the country. And this year it was all about shorebirds like Advocate and common ringed plover. In total, more than 40,000 euros was raised for the protection of these birds. And the big day was won by Team Eco Result with a total of 137 species. Team Tureluurs raised the most money with more than 3,500 euros. Team Bird Boys also made a vlog about their big day, and I will link to their vlog at the end of this video. And that video is in Dutch. Then lastly, before we get started, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel by clicking the red button below this video for more content about rare birds in the Netherlands. It is totally free and helps me out a lot. Then onto the rarities. In total, 29 observations have come to my notice, divided by 19 different species. And if I have missed any, please let me know in the comments below. Firstly, we have the Western Bonellis Warbler, of which 4 records were found. The first one was found on May 2nd by Anja van Halbeek at the National Park de Mijnweg. The second one was found on the 12th by Hans Cornelissen at Bergen aan Zee. It was gone the next day, but on the 13th another one was found by Bas Lagerveld at Wijk aan Zee. These records could possibly concern the same bird. The fourth record was found by Ivo Walsmit at Leiden, and of that bird some mouth-watering photos were taken that you can see on the Dutch birding website. The Western Bonellis Warbler is found annually in our country, and with these 4 records the total number of records now stands at 61, and in the last 30 years a total of 46 records were accepted, so it's just still rare enough to be reviewed by our rarities committee, but one can wonder how long that will last. Another species that is found annually is the American golden plover. Remarkably, a bird found in Belgium was refound in the Netherlands by multiple observers at Everdingen and was refound later again on the Isle of Ameland by Jaap Eertmans. A second American golden plover was found on the 29th by Rick Wever at Die Dolle Kwelder. It turned out the bird was already there on the 25th and was seen by Ines Huizinga, who had posted the observation on Twitter, but this wasn't picked up by the Dutch birding community. And since I discovered an American golden plover in 2012 in this area during a big day, almost annually an American golden plover is seen here, so it is probably here for its 13th year already. On the 7th, a real mega bird was found. Peter Venema noticed a Egyptian vulture leaving its sleeping area and moving on with its migration at the heart of Drenthe. He posted this find on Twitter and posted a video on YouTube. Sadly, he didn't respond to my request to use his footage in this report, so a Twitter screenshot has to do. This is the third record of Egyptian vulture in the Netherlands, after records in 2001 and 2009. Still, only a couple of dozen birders have this species on their national list. Another record of a bird migrating north in Germany gave some hope, but this bird sadly didn't reach the Netherlands. On the same day, another mega rare bird was found during the Wadden Vogelfestival and the Texel Big Day. Self-find guru Diederik Kok found a female stonechat that at first was identified as a Siberian stonechat, but better photos of the tail later that day showed it was in fact a female Caspian Stonechat, the second record for our country after a male on Vlieland in 2012. A species that gets noted more and more often these last years is the lesser spotted eagle, with again 2 records this month. The first one was found by Raoul Kluivers at the Haaksbergenveen on the 8th, and the second one by René Oving on the 23rd at Musselkanaal. He quickly phoned his brother Benny, who managed to pick up the bird. Both records sadly weren't twitchable. Another annual species is the Iberian Chiffchaff. But the problem with the Iberian Chiffchaff is that there have been common Chiffchaffs that sang, called or looked like an Iberian Chiffchaff. So therefore birds singing like an Iberian Chiffchaff have been rejected by the cDNA in the past. Then there is another problem with Iberian Chiffchaff, and that concerns the OpsIdentify app, which uses artificial intelligence to identify birds from photos. But the problem is that when you photograph a common Chiffchaff, the app sometimes gives Iberian Chiffchaff as the most likely candidate. So a lot of nonsense reports makes searching out the good ones on the waarneming.nl website a tedious task, but I found 3 good records anyway. And the first record of this month was reported by Jan Sevester at Warmond on the 6th. The second one was found by Michiel Schonewoord at the Hokensteinse Bos in Zeewolde. And that bird I twitched but misidentified it as a common Chiffchaff, because I thought I heard it calling like a common Chiffchaff. But it turns out I must have recorded a common Chiffchaff that was in the exact same place of the exact same tree as the Iberian Chiffchaff that was singing at the time. Because it turned out a good call was recorded before I was there and also after I was there. And then the third record was found by Jos van den Berg on the 20th in the Tuintjes on Texel. And with these 3 records and one from April, we now have 69 records in the Netherlands, with 38 being recorded in the last 10 years. So I guess this species won't be a review species much longer. In April we had a nice western Subalpine Wobbler, but in May we had 2 records of the eastern Subalpine Wobbler. The first one found by Mark van der A on the Isle of Rotterdam, and he did very well by videoing the bird instead of only taking photos. The other record was found on Vlieland on the 28th, but I failed to find out who actually found that bird. So if you know, please let me know in the comments below. Including these 2 records, we now have 41 records with on average 3 records every 2 years. And then a bird that could be twitched by 2 birders who acted very fast was the red rock thrush of Delfzijl. The bird was found in the backyard late on the day and subsequently showed itself on the roofs in the street. Sadly, it was gone the next day, and this was the 18th record. Then on the 14th, while the Top of Holland Birding Day was ongoing, Pierre van der Wielen found a red-tailed shrike at the parking spot at Hargen aan Zee. And this made some birders decide to leave the Top of Holland to twitch that bird. It was gone the next day. This is the 5th record for the country, but only the first spring record. Call-out flycatchers are always a sight to see, and this year we were treated with 2 records. The first one found on Vlieland on the 14th by Karel Hoogteling, making him the winner of the Top of Holland Birding Day. The second one was found by Christian Brinkman in the IJsselbossen on the 29th. As I'm recording this, that bird is still present, and I'm personally hoping that it will stay for 2 more weeks, as I then have a weekend planned in Limburg with my wife and 2 friends. Back for its 3rd consecutive month in my rarities report is the Boneless Eagle. What is going on with that species? This month a bird was photographed by Wim van der Woning on the 15th at Losser. Sadly, the only twitchable bird of these last couple of years is the bird of April 2020, just when the corona pandemic was ongoing. So still a lot of birders lack this species on their list. And on the same day, a Dougalls Tern was noticed by migrant counters at Breskens, and subsequently one was found in the Putten at Kamperduin again on the 21st by Monica Balman. And it possibly concerned 2 birds, as there were reports of a ringed and an unringed bird. But when we will see the even rarer terns like bridled, Sufi or elegant tern at this site. Also on the 15th, Pieter van Velen found a lesser Yellowlegs in the Onlanden, which is pretty much my backyard. But as the bird was very far away, I decided not to even twitch it, but it makes it all the more admirable that Pieter was able to identify the bird from such a distance. The next day, Rob van Bemmelen found a real gem in the form of a black-headed bunting. It has become a little less rare these last 10 years, with on average 1 record every 2 years, and it is good news for a species as beautiful as this one. On the 17th, Anja van Halbeek, who also found the Bonellis Warbler earlier this month, found a collared Pratincole in Limburg on the border with Belgium, but sadly it was gone already when the news broke. And the next day, possibly the same bird was photographed at Zeeuws-Vlaanderen by Nieuws Zeeland. But just as the day before, the bird had already left when the news got out, making me sad on one hand because I still haven't seen this species in the Netherlands, but on the other hand, these both records were on the opposite side of the country from where I live, so hopefully the next one will be closer to home and will stay a little longer. After a well-twitched bird in Delft last year, we had no less than 3 records of skopzaal in the Netherlands this month. And is this a sign of what's to come with climate change, or was this just a one-time influx? Nonetheless, the first bird was found at Lelystad on the 19th, and the second one was found at Elspet by Aart de Bruin, and the third one in Noordsleen by Simone Meijer. Funny enough, this photo was made through night vision goggles, and including these 3 records, we now have 17 records of skopzaal in the Netherlands. And just as in April, we had another record of an Alpine Accentor, photographed by Jappie van der Pol at Verwert on the 19th. Although not being that rare this last decade, it is a hard bird to connect with. And this was the 15th record, but notably more than half of our records are from the last 10 years. Then on the 24th, Joost van der Eyck found an absolute dream bird in the form of a European roller at the Nieuwe Dordtse Biesbos. Luckily it was still there the next day, but after disappearing for the umpteenth time at around 4 PM, it couldn't be relocated again. And this was the 72nd record for the country and the 5th in the last 10 years. The last bird of this report is the great snipe, found by Bram Ubels. Bram didn't respond to my request to use his photo in this report, so I hope he doesn't mind me using this photo from waarneming.nl. The photo is pretty bad, but the description sounds pretty solid, so that's why I include this record in this report, where I exclude some other observations that have been put on the waarneming.nl website that have no identifiable photos but also lack a good description. I hope you all enjoyed this report once again. Please, if you know any foreign birders that would like to know about rare birds in the Netherlands, please share this video, and I'll see you next time.